Fucking SmackDown getting less than 1 million views for SmackDown. That's unheard of. No casual fans. Unrivaled, they know who their fan is, and they're marketing to them. The problem is, they're marketing to the TikTok fan. They're marketing to the fans that just watch shorts all day. Not games, they're marketing to the fans that'll just tune in and catch the highlight.
Look closely at that marketing approach. Players jogging through hallways, answering throwaway questions, dancing in corridors, lounging on couches. Here's the hard reality being exposed. No one casually scrolling social media is stopping to think, "Oh, that's Sophie Cunningham. I need to watch this." Most casual sports fans don't recognize these players at all. And before the algorithm ever surfaces a familiar face, the moment is already gone. The scroll continues. That's the core flaw in Unrivaled's strategy, and it's a mistake that's likely to come back and hurt them fast.
There's just not enough of them to care about the league. There's just not enough. Whether it's NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, WWE, there's a reason why grabbing the casual fan is so important. Diehards, they're gonna stay along no matter what. It's the casual.
Here's what makes this so revealing. Unrivaled is launching in less than a week after months of nonstop hype, yet ESPN isn't talking about it. Fox Sports is quiet. CBS, USA Today, Front Office Sports, nothing. Mainstream sports media has completely stayed out of the conversation. The only real noise is coming from independent content creators pushing clips and commentary. And that tells you exactly who they're reaching. It's not traditional sports fans. It's a narrow digital audience that consumes short highlights, scrolls endlessly on Instagram, and rarely shows up to watch full games.
Targeted marketing campaigns. We have players running down a hallway, answering questions of the day. Thing number one, nobody will scroll this, and this is gonna sound harsh, nobody will scroll this and know who they are. What up, Ray? Salute.
This is exactly how a marketing death spiral starts. Look at the clips he's breaking down. Home video energy, blooper-style edits, R&B tracks playing in the gym, favorite couch moments. Not one piece of content makes a casual viewer think, "I need to watch these games." Now compare that to the NFL, where every ad is about conflict, rivalry, and what's at stake. The NBA sells stars and jaw-dropping highlights. Even the NHL leans hard into speed, hits, and intensity. Unrivaled, meanwhile, is pushing behind-the-scenes lifestyle content aimed at people who already follow these players online. They're preaching to a loyal congregation of about 46,000 followers when the business model demands millions of viewers to survive.
What up, Ray? Salute. Who wants to watch this stuff? Oh, dude. We got Natasha Cloud. Folks, this clip right here is like the only basketball clip that we're seeing here. There is one more else in there. A little home video for the cousins. But this just...
Now we have to talk about Project B, because this is where the situation turns strange. On December 5th, Sophie Cunningham publicly reveals that Caitlin Clark will not be playing in Project B. That exact same day, Project B announces what ends up being its final player signing. After that, nothing. Nearly a full month of silence. No new player announcements, no updates, no momentum. Even the scheduled social posts suddenly stopped. So the obvious question is, what changed? Did funding dry up once investors realized Clark wasn't coming? Were financial commitments quietly tied to landing her star power? Because one thing is consistent with startup sports leagues. They survive or collapse based on star attraction and their ability to deliver what was promised to investors. And when that pillar disappears, everything else can freeze overnight.
They're releasing players, right? Aneka, Alyssa, Jonquil Jones, Sophie Cunningham, Just Josiate, Leonie Fibish. And then since December 5th, Project B has been absolutely quiet. Is this a sham league? I'm not going to go say that yet. But is this just another group of investors, similar to Unrivaled to an extent, that have been lied to, saying, oh yeah, invest, we're going to go and we're going to get Caitlin Clark. And then as soon as they realize Caitlin Clark's not coming, they maybe not necessarily take their money back.
Think about how the investor pitch actually works. You're asking people to commit tens of millions of dollars to a brand new 3-on-3 league. The financial model almost certainly assumes something like this. Land Caitlin Clark, viewership jumps to X, sponsorship revenue climbs to Y, and the league reaches break-even by season 2. Then Clark doesn't sign. Instantly, those projections collapse. Any investor who pledged $50 million contingent on her participation suddenly pulls back. Sponsors who wanted alignment with the biggest name in women's basketball start renegotiating or walk away altogether. That's not wild speculation. That's the standard reality of sports business, and when star power disappears, the money usually follows.
Some of the stipulations that, yeah, we'll give you X amount if you get this player. We'll give you an additional X amount if you get this player. If this player doesn't come, then you don't get this amount, right? Well, Caitlin Clark didn't show up. So the projected, let's just say the projected $50 million that would have come in if Caitlin Clark did agree, well, that's not coming in now.
Let's circle back to Unrivaled because the same pattern shows up again. Last season, he was watching Rose games, Lunar Owls games, Vinyl BC, even the Laces. There was real interest across multiple teams. This year, he's only tuning in for one team, the Mist, and that's because they have the Fever players people actually recognize and care about. That isn't random. It highlights the core issue with women's basketball leagues operating outside the WNBA ecosystem. Without the pull of stars like Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and maybe a small handful of others, casual fans have no clear entry point. Hardcore diehards will always show up, but diehards alone don't produce the revenue needed to keep a professional league financially alive.
That's the facts. The highlight crew is who they market to as well. Adam Silver admits it. The NBA, it's not even, don't even watch full games anymore. It's a highlight-driven league now. It's a highlight-driven league now? People don't even got to watch full games. They got to watch highlights. Yeah, that's why people say Adam Silver has kind of suffered within the NBA.
Here's the comparison that actually matters. He points out SmackDown pulling under 1 million viewers despite enormous long-term TV deals. That's what happens when casual fans drift away. You survive off contracts signed in stronger eras while the real audience slowly shrinks. The WNBA is dealing with the same issue right now. Outside of Fever games, regular season matchups are drawing roughly 200,000 to 400,000 viewers, which isn't a stable foundation for a pro league. And Unrivaled is stepping directly into that environment, but with none of the safety nets. No NBA backing, no legacy TV deals, no guaranteed revenue floor. They're launching from scratch while marketing almost entirely to short-attention social media users who consume 15-second TikToks, not full-length basketball games. That gap is where the risk becomes obvious.
Comes with a business, right? You kind of want to know who you're marketing to. You want to know who your audience is. And the problem that Unrivaled has actually is that they know who they want their audience to be. They are marketing to them. There's just not enough of them to keep this league afloat. There's just not.
The casual fan problem is the entire ball game. Every major sports league understands this. The NFL doesn't market itself to people who watch every snap of every game. It targets fans who tune in for the Super Bowl and a handful of primetime matchups. The NBA doesn't depend on analytics obsessives. It thrives on casual viewers who show up for Lakers-Warriors because they know LeBron and Steph. Diehards create the foundation, but casual fans drive growth, ratings, sponsorships, and expansion. Unrivaled has this formula flipped. They're producing content for roughly 46,000 hardcore WNBA fans who already follow every player's Instagram story. Instead of creating moments that make a random sports fan in Cleveland stop scrolling and think, that looks interesting, I might actually watch this.
Oh, wait. The question that I have is, what of these clips is going to get a casual fan to want to wait for it, watch the games? Of all of these clips that we've seen so far, what of these make you want to actually spend?
Here's why this moment is bigger than just one league launch. What we're about to see is a real-world stress test of whether women's basketball can support a second professional league in the United States. On paper, Unrivaled looks legitimate. There's real financial backing behind it, not symbolic money. These are investors putting serious capital on the line. The league has secured recognizable WNBA talent, not fringe players. The production infrastructure is in place, the streaming platform is ready, and the rollout has been planned for months. From a checklist perspective, everything looks prepared. But none of that matters if the marketing is fundamentally misaligned with how sports audiences actually grow. You can build a great product, but if you aim it at the wrong people, it will fail. That's where this gets uncomfortable. If Unrivaled struggles with viewership, it won't just hurt this league. It will reinforce long-standing negative narratives about women's sports. Critics will immediately jump to, "See, there's no audience." Sponsors will hesitate before backing future women's basketball ventures. Investors will become more cautious. The ripple effects could last years. And that would be tragic, because the real issue isn't whether there's an audience for women's basketball. We already know there is. The WNBA proved that definitively when Caitlin Clark drove ratings to historic highs. Casual fans showed up in massive numbers when there was a star they recognized and a compelling on-court product to watch. The real question is whether there's an audience for women's basketball without that level of star power, marketed primarily through social media content designed for existing fans rather than new ones. This is where Project B becomes revealing. Its sudden silence isn't random. It's a signal about the business reality behind these leagues. These aren't passion projects run by people who don't care whether the numbers work. They're businesses built on projections, assumptions, and promised returns. When those assumptions break, the money stops flowing. If Project B's financial model depended on landing Caitlin Clark and she wasn't coming, then those projections instantly became meaningless. Investors don't keep funding businesses based on fictional math. They renegotiate, reduce commitments, or walk away. The social media rollout tells the story. There was clearly a plan. Announce players at steady intervals, build momentum, create anticipation, and stack buzz heading into launch. Dates mattered. Posts were scheduled. Everything was moving towards something bigger. Then, Sophie Cunningham reveals Clark isn't involved, and suddenly the scheduled posts stop. That's not coincidence. That's a business plan collapsing in real time. Somewhere behind the scenes, someone realized the foundation they were building on had cracked, and they had to reassess everything. Now let's look closely at what Unrivaled is actually selling, because this is the core problem. They aren't selling basketball first. They're selling personality. They're selling vibes, behind-the-scenes access, relatability, and connection. There is a market for that, but it's a small one. It's the audience that already follows these players on Instagram, already watches their TikToks, already engages with their posts daily. Unrivaled is trying to monetize an audience that's already receiving the same type of content for free. Ask yourself honestly, why would someone pay for a streaming service or commit hours each week to watching full games when the content they're being marketed is already available in 30-second clips on their phone? That's a losing value proposition. Compare that to how the WNBA marketed Caitlin Clark. They didn't lead with her personality, they didn't start with off-court content, they led with basketball, logo threes, deep-range shots, no-look passes, competitive fire, record-breaking performances. They sold something you could not get anywhere else. Elite athletic performance at the highest level. The personality content came later, after fans were already invested in watching the games. That's how you convert casual fans. You hook them with competition and spectacle first. Once they care about what happens on the court, they'll seek out interviews, behind-the-scenes moments, and personality content on their own. Unrivaled has this sequence backwards. They're leading with content that's abundant and free, hoping it will somehow convince people to invest time into full games. That's not how viewer behavior works. People don't watch behind-the-scenes content and then decide to dedicate 3 hours a week to watching games. It happens the other way around. They watch games because the competition matters, and then they want more access to the players they've become emotionally invested in. The WWE comparison perfectly illustrates this danger. WWE still has passionate fans. They still sell out arenas. They still have loyal viewers who tune in every week. But SmackDown pulling under 1 million viewers is catastrophic for a brand that size because it means the casual audience has disappeared. Those casual fans are what allowed WWE to sign massive TV deals, expand globally, and dominate pop culture during its peak. Without them, you're just serving a niche audience, no matter how passionate that niche may be. That's the future Unrivaled risks. They may have games, they may have die-hard fans watching, they may even survive a few seasons on investor money. But survival is not success. Without growth, without casual fans, profitability never arrives. And eventually, investors ask hard questions. Why are we funding a league that reaches 50,000 people when the model requires hundreds of thousands? Which leads to the uncomfortable question: is it too late to fix this? The league launches in less than a week. The marketing strategy is largely locked in. Content has been produced, partnerships are set. Can they pivot fast enough to create content that appeals to casual sports fans? Or are they committed to this approach, hoping the existing fan base somehow scales into something it mathematically cannot? Because the math is unforgiving. You cannot run a professional basketball league on a tiny audience. You need hundreds of thousands of viewers per game to make advertising work. You need millions of impressions to justify sponsorships. You need casual fans tuning in because they're bored on a Tuesday night and a game looks interesting, not because they follow every player's Instagram story. And this goes beyond Unrivaled. This is a test case for the future of women's basketball in the US. If Unrivaled fails because of poor marketing strategy, that's fixable. The next league can learn from it. But if it fails and the narrative becomes there's no audience, that damage spreads far beyond one league. It affects every future attempt to build alternatives outside the WNBA. The stakes are bigger than one 3-on-3 league. This is about whether women's basketball can grow beyond a single structure, or whether the WNBA remains the only viable professional path. The next few weeks will tell us a lot. Watch the viewership numbers. Watch whether mainstream sports media starts covering Unrivaled or ignores it. Watch whether casual fans even know these games are happening. Because that will answer the real question. Was this marketing strategy bold and misunderstood, or fundamentally flawed from the start? My prediction is simple. They'll get their 50,000 diehard fans. They'll wonder why growth stalls. And the answer will be obvious. You marketed to people who don't watch full games, and then acted surprised when they didn't.